Hello, everybody. And in the words of Clopin from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, here it is, the moment you've been waiting for. Disney perhaps could be reopening as early as April 1st, along with other California theme parks. And Benji and Kyle are going to give you all the deets.
Okay, so Disney, we're talking specifically about the Disneyland Resort. California has revised their tier metrics. So it's a little complicated because there's a whole lot of revising going around because I guess the governor changed his mind about things. But so the tiers, which Orange County is currently in purple, the parks are closed, even effective April 1st. If they get to the red tier, which is 2 weeks of having a case rate of 4 to 10 per 100,000 people, then they can open up at 15% capacity. Small groups, no more than 3 households per group and no more than 10 people. Indoor capacity would be capped at 15% with time restrictions. So what that means is it's an attraction like, I would say the railroad going into Primeval World, that's probably okay. They haven't given specifics about timing and things like that, but indoor attractions will not be open. Predominantly, Space Mountain will not be open. Predominantly indoor attractions will not be open. There will also be no indoor dining. The cast members will be tested. Well, cast members at Disney, workers everywhere else, will be tested weekly, and it will only be open for in-state visitors. So you can't come from out of state. As they go to even further tiers, the orange tier, the capacity goes up to 25%. And then at the yellow tier, it stays at 25%. No, I'm sorry, it goes to 35%. Still with weekly testing programs, still with the indoor time restrictions, and still in-state in-state guests. For those paying attention, it used to be that the yellow tier was when larger theme parks could open that held more than 500 guests. So now they're moving all the way up to the red tier. However, there are major restrictions regarding who can go, as well as what kind of attractions can be offered.
So as far as the red tier, though, I know they're not in it now, but I read that they are expected, or at least there's a really good chance they will be in it by April 1st. Is that correct?
That is correct, assuming there's no sort of bounce back, which I hope won't happen as vaccines start to roll out, but is not unheard of. Also, the sort of other moving piece to this is they're probably changing how they do tiers. So we don't know exactly where the tiers will be. It's based on how many people will be vaccinated in highly impacted counties or zip codes. So it's a little complicated. And when I say a little complicated, it's very complicated. But in all likelihood, Disneyland, which is in Orange County, could open on April 1st with these major restrictions. And Disneyland, Disney California Adventure.
So I would just want you to, real quick, simple bullet points, go through those restrictions again. If they're in the red tier, what is the occupancy capacity?
The park occupancy capacity is 15%. Okay. Keep in mind, Disney World's currently operating at 35%.
Okay, and what is the deal with indoor attractions?
They cannot be operating unless it's an attraction that briefly goes indoors. I'm using the railroad as an example, but predominantly outdoor attractions that might have an indoor component,
like California residents only.
And California residents only,
and no indoor dining. Okay.
So even though indoor dining could be open outside of theme parks, like it could be open at Downtown Disney, it wouldn't be open in the theme park.
Do you have a question, Tony?
Yeah, I was going to say, where did we see that no indoors? I just read capacity limits on indoor attractions.
In the sort of reporting around it, they said the time restrictions is based, which they haven't revealed what those time restrictions are, but that you can only be indoors for a certain period of time as part of that attraction.
Okay.
The specifics have not been worked out yet. I think this caught the theme parks by surprise, based on the fact that they sold a touch of Disney tickets through the middle of April last.
Yes.
I don't know what this means for Touch of Disney. I don't know if they'll open Disneyland and DCA will still do Touch of Disney. I don't know if Touch of Disney will become park tickets. I don't know what capacity Touch of Disney was operating at, because as a mall, it could operate up to 25%, whereas as a theme park, it could operate at 15%.
No, it may be more profitable to have DCA be a mall than a theme park, which some people said it always was. Do we know, does anybody with their insider knowledge know what a number would be for that capacity percentage at Disneyland or DCA? Approximately?
Someone in the comments says 8,000. Does that sound reasonable to you, Ben?
At Disneyland?
Let me get my calculator. I can't reveal.
That's what I'm doing too. I don't know the exact number either.
I know the capacity of the park, but I'm not allowed to share it. But I can say if it's in the ballpark.
Well, also there's a difference between Disney capacity and this, engineering capacity that we've talked about at Walt Disney World before.
Right. I would say 15%. 8,000 people is probably a conservative number. It might be a little higher than that.
In DCA, about 1,200?
Well, and once again, we're presuming they're going after fire marshal capacity, not what they cap Disneyland at as operationally.
Right.
I think we all kind of know around 50,000 they kind of cut the doors, but that doesn't mean it's fire marshal capacity. So I don't know what number they're using.
The good news is, whatever it is at DCA, it will exceed opening day attendance. So that's good.
I mean, I think it's exciting, but I think we also need to kind of temper expectations here, just for a few reasons. Like you're saying, the Touch of Disney, they just started selling tickets yesterday for that. And based on that experience, thinking about how they're going to sell tickets to people and also verify that they're in California, that they're California residents, and manage a system that can sell only, maybe 4 digits instead of 5 digits a day. It's going to be difficult. And to pull that all off in 3 weeks, given Disney's technical challenges in the past, I'm not too optimistic about that happening.
I do want to say one thing. The capacity numbers I was thinking in my head was based on indoor attractions being open. Obviously, if indoor attractions close, that will significantly impact.
That's a good point too. What I was going to ask too was, because it says they can open April 1st. Do we think they'd be ready to open April 1st? Staffing wise, operationally, and everything like that? I wouldn't think so either.
I think they would make it work.
Okay.
I mean, you're talking about a month out. Staffing wise, I think that, attractions is like the smallest line of business you have. You've already called back a significant portion of your retail and food and beverage cast, not to mention, whoever's taking the tickets and parking, bringing in only outdoor attractions operations cast is probably doable.
We're also probably assuming that they've already months ago put in all the 6 feet stickers and barricades and all the stuff that they need.
Yeah,
they've already done that, haven't they?
They opened July 17th last year. Don't forget. So
yeah, because they wanted to show off that they were ready. So even if you look at things like the Christmas parade thing that was taped at Disneyland, you can actually see the queue markers on Main Street for the shops.
Kent
Did
Pot
Disney
Rock,
release sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you were about to go to the same place. Kent Pot Rock released a statement. The president of the Disneyland Resort, I'll read it real quick. We are encouraged that theme parks now have a path toward reopening this spring, getting thousands of people back to work and greatly helping neighboring businesses in our entire community. With responsible Disney safety protocols already implemented around the world, we can't wait to welcome our guests back and look forward to sharing an opening date soon.
Yeah, so to me, that statement implies don't necessarily think we're opening April 1st.
Really? You know better than me.
Because they said sharing an opening date soon, as opposed to we look forward to a reopening as soon as possible.
They got this news the same time we did, though, as you said. So they just had to get something out there, which is really, really funny. Nice to see them working together so much so that they sold all these tickets just yesterday when the park could be open during that time.
Didn't they extend it out too? Like there were so many people who wanted them. They said, okay, we're going to sell more dates now.
I think one thing that I find interesting is if they sold more than 15% capacity of Touch of Disney tickets, what happens? Now, granted, you could split them up amongst the two parks, so that would take care of itself. But if they went with the 25% cap for Touch of Disney, and then now had to lower it to 15%.
But do you think they would keep California Adventure as a mall, like you guys said, in the time being, to get all of that done, and then it'll become the park again?
And I don't know. I mean, what if they just open ride for Touch of Disney? I mean,
yeah. But then they'd have to drop it to the limits, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but I mean, maybe it's a special park hopper situation. They open up both parks, then, so because I'm sure if you do that, some people would go to Disneyland and they wouldn't all go to DCA.
There was also a line in the Orange County Register story that said that they'd be reviewing the guidelines and working with the theme parks and changing the guidelines the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Do you have any guesses of if that'll mean we'll maybe see changes to some of these indoor outdoor things, or the timing, or what's your take on that?
I think that's going to be specifics. Like what does indoor mean? What does how do we verify what satisfies your requirement for in-state? I think we saw last time when they talked about single rider, like you can't use single rider lines, and you're like, how can you possibly use a single rider line in a world of social distancing? That would defeat the whole purpose of having a single rider line. We realize that the state of California may not be the most adept at theme park operations. I mean, not that I'd expect them to, because they're not a theme park, but they might not have had great conversations with the operators. So I think this is sort of California extending the olive branch, and now they'll work together, as opposed to, if you're going to wait to yellow, who knows what the world's going to look like? We're not going to bother talking to you.
Can we briefly talk about the other theme parks? So Universal Studios and Knott's Berry Farm, are those both in the same area? They would have the same tier as Disneyland?
No, not necessarily. Well, Knott's would. Knott's is in Orange County. Universal Studios is in LA County.
Okay. According to the Orange County Register report, it said that they're going to approach the same tier on the same time frame, though, but they are different counties.
Right. So, I think we're all assuming that this tier is going to progress, which it in all likelihood will, but I wouldn't, I think we've all counted chickens before we hatch. So, there's no saying that these cases don't bump back up. I mean, who knows? But
And so Disneyland has their Touch of Disney. Knott's Berry Farm already has their Boysenberry Festival going on, which is a similar type of ticketed in-park dining event. And then Universal Studios just announced one as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I think a Touch of Universal is something like that, right? Or Taste of Universal.
Taste of Universal.
Okay, because a touch of is kind of a disease kind of thing. So interesting. Just as all the parks finally decide to work around the restrictions, maybe now they no longer have to.
Well, and I wonder if they finally just, California's like, well, if you're going to be basically open, because essentially this allows them to distance more, right? Because it lowers the capacity while adding places for people to be. So if the theme parks found the loophole, they exploited the loophole, and this is not necessary. So now this isn't necessarily going to really change the game. Particularly, I mean, if not so much California Adventure, but think about Universal Studios Hollywood. Think about Disneyland Park. They're mostly indoor attractions,
right?
The big ones, right?
And, to me, that's the biggest deal about this, is that predominantly indoor attractions aren't permitted. I mean, if you really think about Disneyland, there's not a whole lot left. The essence of Disneyland is not there.
First of all, Central Florida, we're used to knowing what's indoor and outdoor right off the bat, because we know what's going to be closed as soon as that storm cloud rolls in. But I remember before, I can't remember under what context, I want to say it was maybe out here, if you were inside for like more than 8 minutes, there was some kind of bar for that. That's when you were considered at risk or whatever. So I wonder if they're going to do something similar for the indoor attractions. Like if you're in an indoor experience for more than 8 minutes, you can't be part of that. So that would get shut down, which would then open up like all the dark rides and stuff like that.
But like, what if you're an enclosed ride vehicle, like Submarine Voyage? You're in an enclosed, I mean, there's all these sort of indoor, outdoor.
Yeah.
Is not black and white.
And that's definitely more than 8 minutes. So,
Right.
That will be the very, 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 very last attraction to open.
and then you have indoor queues. So,
Right.
like, part of Indy's okay, but once you get in, and then you're inside the building, so that's more than 8 minutes.
When it's like,
Right to the Resistance is off the table if it were running anyway.
but like Indiana Jones, there's part of the queue where there's not a full ceiling. Is that indoor or outdoor?
Yeah, and the little skylight holes.
Yeah.
But the ride is indoor, so what difference does it make?
Well, yeah.
Although people have been known to go just to do the queue.
But the most important question is the Winnie the Pooh ride an indoor attraction or an outdoor attraction?
There are almost no outdoor attractions at Disney. I mean, like you said, the train, I guess, the teacups,
Big Thunder,
Astro Orbiter,
Horn, Dumbo.
I don't know what Splash would be considered.
It's the Golden Zephyr's time to shine, guys. Finally.
And then the wind blows, and there goes that.
Yeah, DCA definitely makes out like a much better in this outdoor experience thing.
Stupid theming, man. You knew that was going to be the death of them someday with all this theming.
Haunted Mansion is undoable because the elevator.
Well, never mind.
Well,
see, the one I'm mostly confused about, maybe Tony can help me on this one. Pirates is themed to be outdoors. Do you think they might be able to fool them on that one?
Maybe, as long as there's no fire marshals on the ride, because those guys are easily fooled too.
did you hear about the rebranding Disney's doing to Blue Bayou?
No, what?
They're going to keep. They're changing the name to French Laundry in an effort to.
Pocket wine.
I'm very proud of that joke. That was a good one. I like that one.
It was even better 6 months ago.
Yeah. April 1st being the reopening date is insert joke here. You know,
well, my thought process was I always have felt like Kevin Newsom's kind of had it out for the parks for some reason, just watching from afar. And I feel like April 1st, yeah, it'll be great. Everybody open. Oh, April Fools. Shut them down.
Tony didn't hear when I suggested they switch it a day to coincide with his favorite Pixar movie, Bust-a-Moo, on April 2.
I can't believe I remember what movie that is. That's what I'm more upset about.
I think it's the 20-year anniversary next year, probably.
I think it's 04, but yeah, it's coming up.
I would not think Small World would be considered indoor, but I could be.
I would not consider Small World indoor just because you load. You know, the bulk of it is indoor.
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes indoors and only
loading basically. Splash, don't know. Jungle's outdoors.
Yeah,
but you don't.
It'll be limited capacity on the boat, but yeah.
Auto.
Of course, they might be working on Jungle Cruise.
Yeah,
excellent.
The state did not say anything regarding limited capacity on the vehicles themselves, right? Like in Florida, that's up to Disney how they actually handle each ride vehicle, correct?
Yeah, well, so they did not yet. I think those conversations are part of what's going to happen. I mean, you're still going to want to have the 6-foot distancing. I think there's going to be a lot more specifics and a lot more restrictions. This is just big picture, get the conversation going. I think there will be specific, you need to have 6 feet between parties. As it says, the group that they're traveling with cannot not be more than 3 households or 10 people. So no,
how do you enforce that?
Well, if you're getting
all live at the same address?
You have to make sure you do 3 different designs if you're going with like 30 people.
Well, I think I understand there's some places where they have this kind of restriction. Like you just can't go to a grouper and say there's party 11.
We're all together, but
I think the groupers appreciate that. By the way, they want that in their next union contract.
Also, I believe parties of this many are not accepted either. How many in your party? This many.
Well, 4 and 3 kids, so 4.
Right.
You can tell who used to work at a theme park here.
Does my kid count? I don't know. Is your kid a person?
Do you claim them on your taxes? I mean, I've never said that before.
Can I write teardown flyers?
No, not a chance.
I think even
Gideon's too big.
News for people in case they're just joining us.
Yes. Just to recap, somebody.
You do it this time.
Okay, California theme parks theoretically can reopen April 1st as long as the county's in the tier for California residents only. That's the part that disappoints me. But
with what capacity restriction? 15%.
15% increasing as the tiers increase as well,
and no indoor attractions. So that's the
questionable. But so as of right now,
so I mean, the fundamental thing is yes, reopen, woohoo. But this is not the theme park you're used to. This is not even the theme park under these conditions you're used to. Things are quite different in Florida, the Disney World there. So we'll see exactly what it is.
And no word from Disney yet whether they're actually planning to open on the 1st or when they think they'll be able to do it.
They said
you know why this happened, right? It's because I'm wearing my Disneyland map shirt today. Anyway.
Disney's official statement says we look forward to welcoming our guests back and look forward to sharing an opening date soon. That is from Ken Potrock, the president of the Disneyland Resort.
Do you think they'll wait till July 17th again?
No.
I don't think so either.
I think they'll be and the complete unknown in this at this point is how this affects Touch of Disney at DCA, which starts in a couple of weeks and already has dates into April. I'm sure we'll find that out soon, but as of right now, we do not know.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate how much Mike's going to be working that week? Because we can't even bring in Jeremiah, right? Because it has to be a California resident. So he's going to be, and he can't even use you guys because you'll be in Florida. So this makes all this all.
Good thing he's got an annual pass.
Too soon.
Way too soon. So so presumably we'll get.
That's a good point.
Here, huh?
Now, do you think they'll have the membership options by the time they open?
So they said they were going to have the memberships by the time they opened, but I also think Disney expected to have more than 3 weeks notice.
So they're going to put off opening then so they can get that ready.
Isn't that a Hugh Grant movie where he's trying to get the theme parks in order?
2 weeks,
3 weeks notice, 2 weeks notice. Oh, okay.
I feel like if they don't have memberships, then they don't even have to worry about reaching 15%. But I also felt like the $75 in DCA was too expensive, and I've been proven wrong there. So
yeah, I don't know what they get at 15% by doing memberships. They might just wait. It's not.
Yeah,
they don't owe anyone anything in terms of making a plan before they get to a reasonable capacity.
Let's talk about half park, half day.
I mean, just to be clear, to be at Disney World's capacity, they have to be in the yellow tier, which is basically it's over. And so, it's not. This isn't going to be like going to the Magic Kingdom. I mean, as to be said, Magic Kingdom, Florida. I mean, even just with attractions that can run.
It's gonna be Vlogger City.
Would we count Matterhorn? I'm still on the indoor-outdoor attractions.
I think Matterhorn is indoor.
See?
What defines indoor? If it has fire sprinklers?
Matterhorn is 100% outdoor. It has a roof.
You've already acknowledged that the people in the government don't necessarily know a lot about theme parks. So what they're going to see is a car going into a mountain.
Yep. And then if they get a backstage tour, they're going to say, but there's a basketball court in here.
This is a sporting event.
Yes.
Do you remember how when we watched Imagineering Story, we all cried when Bob Iger signed the thing at the basketball court?
Bob Gurr?
Yeah, Bob Gurr. What did I say?
Okay, I heard Iger. Sorry.
I heard Iger. We all heard Iger, including my wife.
Okay. So when Bob Gurr signed the thing, do you think they'll have Gavin Newsom come in and sign it as a reopening gesture?
I was almost made the same joke. Never mind. I was gonna say I heard he's gonna be at the winery at California Adventure. So
come for the Disney news, stay for the politics. So
I don't know. I want to talk a little bit more about the prospect of this Disneyland without all its iconic rides. It's bizarre.
Well, so I don't think you could social distance that Alice in Wonderland queue, period. So
That is the.
So should we expect that indoor-outdoor ride to not be open at all?
Yeah,
You get
I don't think that
Dumbo.
one. I don't think Storybook Circus. I mean, not Storybook Circus. Storybook Land. I don't know how you do that one. Social distance.
6 feet
Dumbo.
apart in the monkey cage on the Casey
Probably-
Jr. train.
Canoes is probably not coming back right away.
No dark rides. No Space Mountain. Perhaps no Matterhorn. No
Snow
Pirates.
White's Snow White's Enchanted Wish won't get to open.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
Maybe that redo was more substantial than we thought.
It's open air now.
I mean, it's a good
No
thing they
witch,
never
no
did
roof.
that for Disneyland.
Do you think that they could fool the regulators by taking them on like one of those indoor for outdoor attractions like Pirates or Peter Pan's Flight?
It's possible.
They fooled me as a kid. It's shooting stars. How could we be inside?
Or they could take them on Haunted Mansion and be like, well, no, after this scene, we go outside. This is an outdoor attraction now.
We're falling out the window, see?
And they're just trying to figure out how how this all got in this little house.
Does Tony get that?
I kind of missed it. What?
Haunted Mansion doesn't all take place in that little house.
Oh no.
Do,
You go
do
in the
we-
graveyard behind it too. Come on.
All right. Have we outlived our usefulness here?
I'm pretty sure we have. Are there any questions in the chat? No, it looks like
One person.
We're also trying to figure out the attraction still.
Do we have any idea? Wrong question.
if you have tickets already, so I presume you're talking about like Disney theme park tickets. Yeah, you'll have to be ready to get reservations. I don't know what's going to happen if they open before Touch of Disney's over.
The rides that start outside will be eligible to open. Don't know if that's true. But interesting. Okay, so before we close it off, Ben, if you can just give it one more recap for the people just now joining us, and then we will shut it down.
So starting April 1st, theme parks will be in California will be able to open if they're in the red tier, which it looks like many counties in California will be able to open. At that tier, it's a 15% capacity, small groups, indoor capacity. There's going to be a capacity on indoor experiences, which means that if an attraction goes inside, is predominantly indoors, it will not open. But attractions that go back and forth, they can open, subject to guidance that's coming down the pike. There's no indoor dining, and it's for in-state visitors only. As the parks progress through the additional tiers, eventually they can raise their capacity to 25% and then 35%. It does appear indoor dining will be allowed at the orange tier, but not in the red tier. So indoor dining matching whatever the restrictions are at that time for regular restaurants.
Yes, Tony. You are
Representing
acknowledged.
representing the lower half of the screen, myself and Kyle, who do not live in this state. When would we be able to go?
Never.
Do we?
When it's over. I mean, because right now you're not supposed to even come into the state, right? So there's a current
Instead of checking for apples, they make sure they just tell you to turn around. Is that how that works now?
I guess. So
I'm going to put this up. Obviously we don't have it confirmed, but he says the source is Mr. Galley from the CDPA.
I was going to ask about that too. Yeah.
So don't know if this is right. If it is, this would obviously really increase the number of attractions that the rides that start outside or go outside at different times would be eligible to open.
well, but so that's that. His comments were a little bit more specific. That's where he went, where he says the timing of how long you can be inside is a restriction, but he doesn't have the. They're going to have conversations with the operators about what that means. So it's not like if you start outside and you go inside, and there maybe is a half second of being outside, like Splash Mountain might not be eligible.
But I mean, realistically, most of these rides are only 3 minutes anyway. So
Yeah, and he
mean-
wasn't particularly clear if it meant as like a time or as a percentage. So I don't know.
but
I know
still,
you haven't. I know you haven't done Rise yet, Tony, because you refuse to use that kind of a cue, but it does.
I've done it a few times.
It ends outside. And if you
But it's
consider
still covered.
if you consider the transport, the start of it, it actually starts outside too. So there you go. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Obviously, this is a Friday night dump for some reason, but there will be more details coming out, and we'll cover them on Laughing Place. So make sure you subscribe to laughingplace.com, all these channels. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Make sure you read our website. I'm sure we have an article on what's coming up in 2020 tonight. And with that, I think we're ready to close out this show.
Oh, I just missed the Firefest thing was this week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That wasn't 2020. That was the con.
Yeah, but the same.
But isn't that 2020? Like 2020?
That's what Hulu's for, guy.
Yeah.
No, that's coming out later with Ryan Reynolds.
But there's
Poor
two
guy.
documentaries. There's a Hulu and Netflix doc that are much better than the thing that was just on ABC.
The Hulu one's actually, I really love the Hulu one.
Have you seen the Netflix one?
I have.
Okay. We can talk
The
about
Hulu. Okay, yeah, well, that's another conversation. Disneyland, possible first. Well, breaking
Bye,
news.
everybody.